Good evening, everyone. My name is Joe Teresi, and I'd like to personally welcome you this evening to the 2018 Millbrae Man, Woman, and Student Dinner of the Year. So tonight, the main theme for tonight is going to be fun, right? We're all going to have a fun time. So keep that in mind. The number one theme is going to be fun, right? Everyone got that? Fun. Okay. So before we get started, we need to do a little bit of housekeeping. If anyone needs to use the restrooms are located in the back there, outside the door. And in order to avoid future embarrassment, I'd like to have everyone take a moment now, reach in their pocket, and turn off your cell phone. So this is a wonderful event. It's our 46th annual event honoring the Millbrae Men and Women of the Year. And as you recall, last year we decided to add a third element to our program by honoring a Student of the Year. And the reason why... What did I do? I didn't think that deserved any clap, but thank you. Last year we added the new element called Student of the Year. Now some people wondered about that, and we realized that someone as a young person isn't going to have the breadth of experience as an adult, but we want to help foster the idea of volunteering at a very early age. And so by honoring a young student, we hope to foster that spirit in them and hope that they turn their volunteering into a lifelong endeavor. So it was a very welcome addition last year, and I think you'll be pleased this year to hear the amazing things that our Student of the Year has done. So as far as tonight, I'm looking at the room, and I just see all these wonderful people, many of whom I recognize from all the various groups and organizations in Millbrae that make Millbrae special. I think that's one of the things that is the fabric that kind of ties us all together, is the many different volunteer organizations that people belong to. Some of you belong to several of them, and that's how things get done around here, is by the volunteer efforts. So I'd like to do a little test tonight and kind of gauge the spirit of these different groups. So throughout the evening, I'm going to be announcing names of individual groups. And when you hear your group, if you're a member of that group, I want you to give a big cheer. And so by the end of the night, I want to see if we can get a sense of which group has the most spirit. So I'm going to start by, I have a pretty long list here. I'm going to start by saying, let's hear a cheer from anybody who belongs to the Rotary Club. Wow. Wow. That's going to be hard to top that one. Okay. I'll do one more, and then I'll do some more later. What about a big cheer from the Lions Club? Very good, very good. You represented very well, very good. All right, well, I'll give some more groups a chance later on tonight, and we'll get an idea of who's got the most spunk there, so good job. So again, this is the 46th annual event, so doing the math quickly, what that means that we have honored 90 men and women and one student in the past 45 years, so that's quite something. And many of you are actually here in the room with us, so hooray for us, right? This evening, we're proud to add to that list of honored volunteers by honoring our 2018 Millbrae Student of the Year, Stephanie Wong. As well as our 2018 Millbrae Woman of the Year, Deirdre Gladwin. And last but not least, we're also here in honor of our 2018 Man of the Year, Steve Luzeich. So that's it for the introductions. At this point, we'd like to start by having a short invocation. So at this time, I'd like to invite up to the stage the pastor from the New Vision United Methodist Church in Millbrae, Reverend Beth Catamartori.
Thank you. It is good to be here this evening amongst so many distinguished members of our city. I am new to this town as of July, and I am delighted to be amongst you all. So knowing that we are many from different traditions, I invite you to join me in whatever manner of your tradition and your belief as we say a word of prayer. Holy One, we are gathered here tonight to recognize and give thanks for those who have gone above and beyond in answering the call to serve. Thank you on behalf of all who are gathered here this evening. Thank you for the many and abundant blessings that you have given to us. Thank you for life itself, for the measure of health that we need to fulfill our callings, for sustenance and for friendship. Thank you for the ability to be involved in useful work, for the honor of bearing appropriate responsibilities. In Scripture, you encourage us to pray for and work with the governing authorities wherever we find ourselves living, because they are tasked with promoting peace and order and justice. Therefore, I pray for our our elected representatives, indeed, for all of us here tonight, as we each in our own ways seek to serve the community and people of our city. I ask that you grant them and all of us wisdom to govern amidst conflicting issues and interests of our times, a sense of welfare and the true needs of our people, a keen thirst for justice and righteousness, the ability to work together even when there is honest disagreement, personal peace in our lives and joy in our tasks. Bless the food that we will eat tonight and the hands that have prepared it. Bless our conversations and the connections as well. We celebrate all the many and diverse ways in which those gathered this evening give of themselves for the betterment of our city of Millbrae. Continue to inspire us and guide us in this important work. It is in your most blessed name I pray. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor, very much for your words. So at this point, they're going to start serving dinner. We're going to take a little break. Feel free to talk and have a good time. And remember, the theme of the evening is fun. Okay. Hopefully you all enjoyed your dinner. We're going to have dessert shortly. How's everybody feeling tonight? Pretty good? You know, today, my wife Sherry gave me a haircut, and I'm feeling really good. How many people had a haircut today? There you go. Anyone else? How about you ladies? Anyone have their hair done today? Yeah, good. Makes you feel good, right? When you get your hair done? Okay. All right. So again, hopefully you all enjoyed your dinner. Now we have to go through some of our introductions, and I know sometimes it gets tedious, but we'd like to honor and respect all of those folks amongst us. So I'm going to read through a lot of names, and if possible, I'd like you to sort of hold your applause until the end. If you can, just hold back. I know it's hard, but so all of you, when I call your name, I'd like you to to stand up and be recognized and give me like a royal wave, you know, one of these, kind of like this, okay? So we're going to start with the people at our head table here. This is our head table. And at the table we have Mayor Gina Pappin. And the mayor's, the mayor has a thing called the Civic Coordinating Council. They are the co-sponsor of tonight's event. Also with us at the head table is former city treasurer Mary Villa Tressler. And we have the president and CEO of the Millbrae Chamber of Commerce, Lori Ann Richardson. Our keynote speaker, who you will hear from shortly, is Deborah Odom. And you met Reverend Katamartori earlier. And she has two special guests this evening, Inga Cook and Paul Napote. And let's see, who did I? Oh, my wife. My wife Sherry's at the table there too. We can't forget her, right? Okay. All right. So on to some of the electeds. Here tonight, representing San Mateo County Supervisor Dave Pine is Randy Torrijos. Where's Randy? There he is. Thanks, Randy. We also have the retired Deputy Chief of Police from the city of San Jose, Adana Amoroso. Right here. Members of the City Council, in addition to Mayor Pappin, is Vice Mayor Wayne Lee still here? He was here earlier. I think he had another engagement, but he was here. And in addition, we have council members Ann Schneider, Annie Oliva, and Ruben Holliber. Thanks for being here tonight. You know, this is a very esteemed group. We have a lot of people in the room that are former mayors of Millbrae. So real quick, I'm going to run through this list. There's a lot of them here. So all these people were the former mayor of the city of Millbrae. Marge Colapietro, Janet Fogarty, Doris Morse, Robert Gottschalk, Dan Quigg, who in addition was also the former city treasurer, Mark Hirschman, who and of course Mark is presently serving as a district director to State Senator Jerry Hill. Also former Mayor Paul Cito and Lou Grassberger. Representing the city of Millbrae tonight, we have our interim city manager, Tom Williams. Recreation coordinator, Charlene O'Connell. From the Planning Commission, we have the chair, Maureen Davis. The vice chair, Anders Fung. And Commissioner Kathy Quigg. From the Community Enhancement Advisory Committee, we have Ann Kirkbride. From the Parks and Recreation Commission, Dan Quigg. The Sister City Commission, our chair is Robert Gottschalk, Vice Chair Kathleen Kimura, and Commissioners Eunice Danley, Doris Morse, and Tom Dottie. From the Millbrae Elementary School District, back there, we have the board on the Board of Trustees, starting with President Dennis Fema, Clerk of the Board Maggie Musa, Trustee Frank Barbaro, and Trustee Don Ravello. In addition, we have the Chief Business Official Rick Champion and Assistant Superintendent Claire Beltrami. And we also, in our presence tonight, we have the Honorable Linda Gamello, who's a judge on the California Court of Appeals. And from the San Mateo Union High School District, we have Superintendent Dr. Kevin Skelly. All right, we did good there. Thank you all for being here tonight. Next, I want to go ahead and introduce the former men and women who have had the honor of being the Man and Woman of the Year in the past. So I'm going to go in chronological order of when they were honored, which is not necessarily their age. So keep that in mind. So the first person I will call is from 1999, Woman of the Year, Mary Villa Tressler. Woman of the Year in 2001 was Marge Colapietro. Man of the Year in 2002 was Tom Dottie. Man of the Year in 2003 was Kevin O'Connell. Woman of the Year in 2004 was Randy Sahai. Man of the Year in 2005, George Corey. Woman of the Year 2007, Ann Kirkbride. Woman of the Year 2008, Kathy Quigg. 2010, we have both honorees here, Man of the Year, Alan Kurth, and Woman of the Year, Faye Dottie. 2011, Man of the Year, Dan Quigg. 2012, Man of the Year, John Muniz. 2013, Man of the Year was myself, and Woman of the Year was Janet Fogarty. In 2014, Man of the Year was Dennis Fema, and Woman of the Year was Gaetan Andrews. 2015 saw Man of the Year Ron Frediani, along with Woman of the Year Kathleen Kimura. 2016 was Calvin Chin Man of the Year. And Doris Morris was Woman of the Year. Last year, the Woman of the Year was Debbie Van Wart. So, how about that? We have a high-powered room tonight here. All right. Now, I want you all to keep in mind that as a token of our appreciation, the centerpieces, each of the tables have a card on them with the name of a current or past honoree. The flowers are for you to take home as a thank you gift. So please only take the flower arrangement. No silverware, no candles, no salt and pepper shakers, anything like that. Just, we want to be invited back here next year, so we need to behave. So just take the flower arrangement, and you'll see your name at one of the, and it might not necessarily be at the table you're sitting at. So if you're a former Man and Woman of the Year, look around and see if your name's on one of the centerpieces, please. All right. Now, this event doesn't just happen magically, right? It takes the work of a team of volunteers to pull this off. So I'd like to introduce at this point the men and women who are the heart and soul of this event, the Men and Women and Student of the Year Committee. So our chairperson is Mary Villa Tressler, and serving with her on the committee is Pat Crilly, John Muniz, Kathy Quigg, Dan Quigg, Lorianne Richardson, Frank Saboti, and me. So, all right. I think that is all the introductions. Let me just make sure. Is there anyone in the audience who feels like they've been slighted? I wouldn't want that to happen. Okay. All right, at this point, we're going to start the formal program, and I'm going to have someone come up and introduce our keynote speaker this evening. So to introduce our keynote speaker, Lorianne Richardson was born in San Francisco and raised in Millbrae together with her two brothers. She was the co-leader of her daughter's Girl Scout troop and volunteered as team manager for her children's AYSO soccer team. She's worked for the Millbrae community for nearly 17 years, first as the station manager for MCTV, Millbrae Community Television, and then as the executive assistant for the Millbrae Chamber of Commerce for 10 years before assuming the role of president and CEO of the Chamber in 2015. Please give a warm welcome to Lorianne Richardson.
Thank you, Joe. So tonight's keynote speaker is Deborah Odom, Project Director of RSVP. RSVP stands for Retired and Senior Volunteer Program of San Mateo and Northern Santa Clara counties. Mills Peninsula Health Services Senior Focus sponsors the program at Mills Peninsula Medical Center. A San Mateo native, Deborah earned her Bachelor's of Science from Cal State East Bay in Recreation Administration and her Master's of Science from Texas A&M University in Recreation and Leisure Studies. And that led to a career as a recreation director in both residential communities and assisted living facilities in San Mateo County and also in San Francisco counties. And some of you may remember Deborah when she was here in Millbrae. She was the Senior Services Coordinator for the City of Millbrae until she moved to RSVP 19 years ago. Deborah also has extensive training in volunteer management from the Corporation for National and Community Service, as well as Boomer Volunteer Management from Temple University's Center for Intergenerational Learning. Her career passions are working with older adults and serving the community through volunteerism, making RSVP a perfect fit. And also very fitting for tonight's event, her award from the California State Assembly District 19, who named Deborah their 2011 Woman of the Year. So please welcome our keynote speaker, Deborah Odom.
Can you hear me? I have to hold it? Okay. Okay. Thank you for inviting me here tonight to share my passion with you. I am the program coordinator for RSVP of 19 years, and I am very, very proud of the work that I do. RSVP is not a clinical program, but a community-based program sponsored by Bill's Peninsula. And I'll share more about that in a little bit. Hot off the presses, a press release from Washington, D.C. today. AmeriCorps deploys disaster response teams to Hurricane Michael response efforts. More than 500 AmeriCorps members have responded to Hurricane Florence and Michael. More than 175 AmeriCorps members from California, Colorado, Florida, Texas, Washington crews will arrive in Florida in the coming days. Experienced in disaster response, they immediately will begin work conducting damage assessments, making temporary roof repairs, removing debris and hazardous trees, leading muck and gut operations, whatever that is, and coordinating volunteers. AmeriCorps members are volunteers. These AmeriCorps members joined the hundreds who have been deployed in response to Hurricane Florence, as well as now as with Michael. AmeriCorps started during the Clinton administration. It is celebrating its 25th year. And I quote, though government has an important role to play in meeting the many challenges that remain before us, we are coming to understand that no organization, including government, will fully succeed without the active participation of each of us. Volunteers are vital to enabling this country to live up to its true promise of its heritage. And that is a quote from former President Bill Clinton. Volunteering is an American value. This country has relied on volunteers from its start. Colonists worked together, survived the harsh new world, forming support groups to help each other build crops, build houses, and fight disease. Benjamin Franklin developed the first volunteer firehouse in 1736. And then there were the Minutemen, the volunteer militia. It wasn't until the 19th century that formal charitable organizations started cropping up. People became more aware of the disadvantage, and organizations like the YMCA and the Red Cross and the United Way started in response to this awareness. The 20th century was when mainstream volunteering began to flourish. The Rotary Club, I heard them here. The Lions Club, I heard them over here. And the Kiwanis were all established in the first few decades of the 1900s. One of the first national efforts to coordinate volunteers was in response to the Great Depression, including Volunteers in America. Have you ever heard of those? The first volunteer bureau, the Volunteer Center, as they were come to be known, started in Minneapolis, Minnesota in 1919. During World War II, volunteers were active in the military. Just prior to the America's involvement in World War II, President Roosevelt started the USO. Today, the USO has continued to support our nation's military and their family for over 7 decades. Today, the internet plays a huge role in helping community members find volunteer opportunities. There's 2 websites, volunteermatch.org, and the other one is allforgood.org. You can go on and find volunteer opportunities. They even have what they call virtual volunteer opportunities. You don't even have to, you can be in a different country and volunteer. Volunteering has long been a common ethic in the United States, where people each year give their time and expect no compensation. While these volunteer activities may be performed with the intention of helping others, the fact is that there are benefits received from your giving. Researchers have attempted to measure the benefits that volunteers receive, including the positive feeling referred to as the helper's high. We've heard of the runner's high. There's also a helper's high. Research has established a strong relationship between volunteering and health. Those who volunteer have lower mortality rates, greater functional ability, lower rates of depression later in life than those who do not volunteer. How many of you in this room volunteer? You're all going to live longer, okay? Comparisons to the health benefits of volunteering in different age groups have also shown that older volunteers are more likely to receive greater benefits from volunteering, whether because they are more likely faced with higher incidences of illness, or because volunteering provides them with physical and social activity at a time when their social roles are changing. Some findings, this is what I think is funny, some findings also indicate that volunteers who devote a considerable amount of time, and that's in quotes, about 2 hours a week. That's considered considerable. Okay? Are the most to exhibit positive health outcomes. 2 hours a week, folks. That's it. And you're going to live longer. Does age matter? Yes, it does. The majority of studies on the relationship between health and volunteering have focused on older adults, a population particularly vulnerable to illness and depression. Older adults who volunteer demonstrate greater health benefits than do younger volunteers, due to the fact that volunteer activities by older individuals are more likely to provide them with purposeful social roles. So it's important. Then there is the volunteer threshold. So, are you healthier? Is there a relationship between the amount of volunteering that you do and the increased health benefit? There's the threshold. You can only volunteer so much to get so much benefit. So if you are a diabetic, don't go out there and start volunteering 80 hours a week. It's not going to do you that much good. 2 hours a week, and there's a very, very definite benefit. The number of studies that tried to identify if the amount of volunteering might affect the health benefits gained from the volunteer activities. Studies indicate that there's not a linear relationship between the amount of volunteering and the amount of health benefits. There appears to be a volunteer threshold. Once that threshold is met, no additional benefits are gained. Individuals must meet the volunteering threshold in order to receive the benefits. And again, the considerable amount of time comes into play, 2 hours a week. While studies may differ in terms of their findings, they consistently demonstrate that there's a significant relationship between volunteering and good health. When individuals volunteer, they not only help their community, but they also experience better health in later years, whether in terms of greater longevity, higher functionability, or lower rates of depression. The Corporation for National Community Service is the federal agency that funds RSVP. RSVP is one of the 3 programs that make up what is called the Senior Corps. The Senior Corps started back during the War on Poverty. Anybody remember that? Thank you, very good. LBJ. The first program of RSVP started as a demonstration project on Staten Island, New York in 1969. So those of you who have not heard of RSVP, it's the best kept secret in town. So what they wanted to demonstrate back in 1969, that older adults did not necessarily are the recipients of service, but could provide services. They're not sitting on their front porch in their rocking chairs waiting for someone to come and help them. They're out in the community doing good work, providing service, direct service to others. And with that demonstration back in 1969 in Long Island, New York, that's when RSVP started. We are part of the Older Americans Act. We are authorized by Congress, funded through appropriations. I'm very happy to say that we got a $6 million increase when members in the current administration wanted to eliminate us altogether. Yeah. So I'll be around. There was a 3-year longitudinal study done by the Corporation for National Community Service. The study results are just now starting to come out. It was done in 2015. It's the latest and newest study. And they worked with people at the beginning of the study who weren't yet volunteers. So after a year, they surveyed them. After a year, they resurveyed them. And again, it's another year. Nearly half of the volunteers, 46%, reported improved health and well-being, and more than 1/3 who initially reported they were in good health reported improved health. That's pretty good. Almost 2/3 of Senior Corps volunteers reported decrease in feeling of isolation. Volunteering gets an older adult out of the house, connected with people, doing things, using their mind, being physically active, learning new things, doing good for the community. Research demonstrates that volunteering is associated with an active lifestyle and health benefits, particularly for older adults. Older adults meet a wide range of community needs. Older adults are in the schools helping children learn how to read. They're doing the brown bag programs. They're at the senior centers, the museums, libraries, the airport, the USO. They're doing all sorts of kind of things to help make our communities a better place. They're living active lifestyles through volunteering. So, RSVP, sponsored by Mills Peninsula. Why are we associated with a hospital? Because of the health benefits given to older adults through their volunteer service. Mills Peninsula is willing to be the sponsor of this program, and have been the sponsor of this program for over 30 years. RSVP started in San Mateo County in 1974. And again, I say, it's the best kept secret in town if you haven't heard of this. It was originally started at Kenyatta College. But other sponsors have been Catholic Charities, Aging and Adult Services in San Mateo County, and the Volunteer Center of San Mateo. What we are is volunteer recruitment and referral. I go out and I give presentations and I talk to groups of older adults. Older adults for this program are defined as those age 55 and older. They might want to start doing volunteer work in the community, but they don't know where to go. The flip side is I have partnerships with over 50 nonprofit organizations that need volunteers who have provided me with job descriptions of the kinds of things that they need volunteers to help them do in the community. Millbrae Police Department, full of volunteers, full of RSVP volunteers, by the way. I've been told that the number one thing that's when somebody walks through a police office or police department front door, the number one thing that they need is a form to fill out. And if a volunteer is standing there, they can give them that form, saving paid staff valuable time so that they can do other things. That's great. That's what RSVP is. Any questions? Okay. I thank you very much for this opportunity to come and share my passion with you. I want to congratulate the 3 honorees this year and thank them for serving their community in such a way as to be acknowledged by their city. In closing, a pessimist, they say, sees a glass of water as being half empty. An optimist sees the same glass as half full. But a giving person sees that glass of water and immediately starts looking for someone who might be thirsty. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Deborah. Let's have another round of applause for Deborah. All right, so now it's time to start honoring the people that we're here for tonight. Before we do that, though, I did promise I was going to do some more spirit tests. So I want everyone to clap who's associated with the Millbrae Historical Society. Okay. Looking at the room, I think I might get a good clap out of this one. Let's have a clap from everyone who is an attorney. Oh, come on. Okay, we'll do more later. All right. So to introduce our honorees, I'm honored to introduce to you the Mayor of Millbrae, Gina Pappin. Let me say one thing. No, stay here. But I'm just in a minute we're gonna show the videos, and I'm concerned that the folks at table 5 might want to just. I'm sorry that the room is the way it is, but you'll probably want to move a little bit so you'll be able to see the screen later. Thank you, Gina.
Thank you, Joe. Welcome, everyone. This is a very special evening because we have very special people we are honoring. So thank you for being here. We're early on the schedule, and we're going to keep that going. This is a time when we as Millbrae residents and anybody who's ever been to Millbrae is very proud of the people that are being honored here tonight. First, and we're not quite sure how this is going to go here, but our first honoree is the Student of the Year, Stephanie Wong. Hold on. Stephanie Wong is more than an outstanding student at Mills High School. She is a strong and courageous young woman, a true community leader, an ardent advocate for the vulnerable. As a sophomore at Mills High School, Stephanie took it upon herself to create a speech and debate club, future lawyer, I'm sure, to help her and other students grow into confident public speakers who could voice their concerns on important issues. This experience was a catalyst for Stephanie as it gave her the confidence to address pressing issues in the community. In 2016, she began working with the American Red Cross helping organize blood drives and acting as an advocate for minority groups within the organization. Her work spotlighted her strong personality and work ethic. A leader, that year, she was appointed as an officer to the American Red Cross Executive Board. In that role, she helped manage 26 Red Cross affiliates across San Francisco and San Mateo County, and created a People's First Language presentation to help her teams use appropriate terminology when addressing individuals with disabilities and mobility needs. Her work with the Red Cross even took her to Sacramento, where she lobbied on legislative bills in support of important veterans services. Following the tragic shooting at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida, last spring, Stephanie organized the San Mateo March for Lives Walk to remember and honor the 17 lives that were lost that tragic day and address the issues of gun violence and school violence across our county and country. But her activism on these issues didn't stop there. Like her work with the Red Cross, she didn't stop. Once achieved one milestone, she went on to others. She lobbied legislative offices at the state and federal levels opposing ghost gun and gun violence. This gave her the opportunity to work closely with the Brady campaign to prevent gun violence and Congresswoman Jackie Spear, adding a crucially important voice to the discussion of gun violence. We need to hear from our youth, and she has stood up to be that voice. Stephanie's strength and voice have not only set her apart from her peers, but have distinguished her as a true leader among all. Stephanie Wong, it is my honor and privilege, but we're going to show a video first, to recognize you as the 2018 Millbrae Student of the Year. I know this is only the beginning of a very successful career.
I grew up in South San Francisco and attended a school called St. Anne's in San Francisco in the Sunset District. I was brought to Millbrae by my family, who was told that Mills High School was an amazing high school and that it would be a perfect fit for me. Calling Millbrae home is very familiar to me. I really do like Millbrae. I like the sunny, warm weather. I love the schooling system here. I think it's a great community to be in, and I think we have such a great support system in Millbrae. My parents didn't necessarily encourage me to go out and become more engaged. However, they did definitely have a huge influence on my work ethic, and I think that leads to my engagement to where I am today. As a young child, I had a plethora of interests, ranging from Chinese poetry to volleyball and drawing. My parents influenced me and encouraged me to actually become more immersed into this field and to learn more about my culture, which in the end I am very grateful they did push me to do. My experience with Chinese read aloud contests, although not necessarily always happy, eventually led me into what I do today. And today, I really do enjoy public speaking, I enjoy politics. At Mills High School, I created the Mills Speech and Debate Club, and I've been running the club for a few years now. I've also coached members in parliamentary debate, which is a type of debate where partners receive their topics 20 minutes beforehand and they get very interesting philosophical topics. I also participate in the Mills Model United Nations Club, where it is a mock United Nations conference and experience. In addition, I also like to volunteer with the American Red Cross. I hold a position there, and I work as the San Mateo and San Francisco Youth Executive Board Disaster Services Coordinator. In addition, recently I have been very, very involved in politics, and my friends and I, who led the Mills March for Our Lives, which was a movement surrounding youth voices against gun violence and school shootings, we decided to start a nonprofit in San Mateo called the San Mateo Activists Coalition, We focus on 5 different areas, which include gun violence prevention, women's and LGBTQIA rights, environmental awareness, advancement of youth in government, and minority and immigrant rights. So SMAC, as we call it, is a program and a nonprofit in San Mateo where we do a variety of different things, but we focus on change and impact. I think those are the main tenets. We do dabble in education, educating our audience in, for example, gun statistics or what's happening with our environment. But more so, we want to make change through policy and legislation. In fact, the chair of our subcommittee against gun violence has worked with both I and one of my colleagues, Granger Brenneman, in creating a resolution for the County of San Mateo against the issue of downloadable and printable 3D guns. We have created a resolution encouraging public libraries that offer 3D printing services in our county system to put up a firewall on websites that would provide downloadable files for AR-15s and any type of firearm. We have also encouraged library supervision by an adult supervisor, and we are currently getting that resolution endorsed by Dave Pines. We're super excited about it. I feel extremely honored to be receiving this award, and I remember I was standing by my locker at Mills like any regular day when my phone rang. I picked up and someone said, "Congratulations, you were nominated and selected for Student of the Year." I was really, really happy, but then I thought to myself, hold up, wait, I never applied for this program. And it turns out that it was my principal, Ms. Pamela Dzinski, that nominated me for this award. And it just means so much more that she was the one who selected me for this program. When my parents found out that I was nominated as well, they were extremely happy and proud of me. My mom, who has been with me through thick and thin, is very, very proud of me. And she's seen the worst and she's also seen the best. One thing I always tell students who ask me questions about the things I do is never do something just for the sake of putting something on a college application. You don't want to do something for a community because you want to put something on your college app. You want to do something because you want to make a change, you want to better the place you're living in, and you want to make an impact. That's something I always tell my friends and tell students who ask me about my extracurriculars. There are a lot of ways in which this world can change. I think that the most important change that we need today starts with the youth and young children. Someone once said, the greatest threat to democracy isn't a political party, it isn't a Trump supporter, it isn't a Hillary supporter, but in fact, it's people who simply don't care. If people don't care about their community or about what this world has to offer, government ceases to exist, society pretty much stops working, and a lot of problems could go wrong. What my philosophy is that if you want to make a change, then do it, because this is your world and you want things for yourself, then you need to take them.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our honoree tonight, Stephanie Wong.
Thank you for the introduction.
Good evening. My name is Stephanie Wong, and I am honored to be selected as 2018's Millbrae Student of the Year, and would first like to thank members of the Millbrae Chamber of Commerce and Selection Committee. Without these key individuals, none of us would be sitting here, bonding with neighbors and celebrating our community. So please join me in giving a well round of applause. In 2015, I entered the West Gym of Mills High School as a budding freshman on my first day. At the time, I was given a paper plate to write down my dreams, hopes, fears, and ambitions, but instead, I wrote down only 5 words that I remembered to this day. I want to make change. Reflecting upon the past 3 years, I believe I can say with confidence that I've done just that, whether it be for better or for worse. That's really up to you to decide. One thing, however, is undeniable: my growth. The journey that I've embarked on has nurtured me into a thinker, ambassador, and leader. I began as a seed, and although my growth may appear unimpressive, as I am no oak tree yet, but only a 3.5-foot girl, my development from sprout to sapling was difficult. In order for a young plant to thrive, certain elements are required: sunlight, water, and soil. All these components are integral to a seedling support system, and for me, that support system is the administration and faculty of Mills High School. Ms. Dazinski, thank you for your encouragement and willingness to place the well-being of students as your top priority. You have offered me invaluable advice and exposure to a multitude of opportunities. Mr. Phillips, I am only one out of the many students who are blessed to call you their mentor. You fought hard for my passions, ranging from debate and Model United Nations to California Girl State. And for that, words alone cannot express the full extent of my gratitude. Mills has planted passionate educators and resources in our midst, empowering seedlings like me to become civically engaged. Mills strives not to produce only one Millbrae Student of the Year, but rather it is a breeding ground for many outstanding individuals. With me here tonight, I have Megan McDaniels, who has invested in an initiative to make progressive strides in the way mental health is perceived. I also have Desiree Lynn, who is an active force in the Millbrae Leos Club and facilitates leadership training for Interact. In addition, I have Ranger Brennanman, who works alongside me in our nonprofit, San Mateo Activists Coalition, where we've recently written a county resolution against downloadable firearms. The achievements of my peers were only made possible through a dedicated faculty, a network of connections, and most importantly of all, funding. In fact, the only reason why I'm standing here tonight as your Student of the Year is because my work has been generously and financially supported by my parents, Wilson and Doris Wong. As a token of my appreciation, I will now convey a personal message in my mother language, Cantonese. Daddy, Mommy, 我想要多謝你哋俾我咁多機會去做我想要做嗰啲嘢。我知道你哋兩個嗰陣時喺香港係冇呢啲機會，同埋你哋都兩個知道冇讀書係幾困難。你哋兩個都犧牲咗好多錢、時間、愛同埋決心俾我，因為你想要我有一個好啲嘅前途。如果你望到張台，你可能見到一張位係冇人坐喺度嘅，呢張位係留俾阿伯伯。如果伯伯喺度今日，我覺得佢會好開心，因為你哋兩個係做父母做得非常之好，同埋你哋教得女教得好好。多謝晒。Although not everyone may have understood my broken Cantonese, both Chinese and English speakers alike, there is a universal message I want to share with you all. Fostering more youth like Megan, Desiree, Granger, and I is a collaborative effort and worthy investment. Provide nourishment for your saplings, and in return, they will grow up to provide shade as resilient oaks. Similarly, provide support in the form of guidance and donations to embolden the ambitious endeavors of our future leaders. And in return, we will provide a positive impact not just in our city of Millbrae, but in the world. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Hoffman.
Congratulations again. And I think the committee can recognize when we acknowledge what our youth can do, the difference that they can make, Stephanie is just one example, and her friends that she has brought with her tonight. So my compliments to the committee and the community that we are raising youth that are confident to speak up and make a difference. So, moving on, our Woman of the Year. Deidre Gladwin. For more than 34 years, Deidre Gladwin has been an avid volunteer and strong advocate for the youth in Millbrae. As a proud mother of two, with both of her children here tonight, Deidre knew that if she wanted her children to succeed in school, she had to ensure that the schools they went to provided the right curriculum and programs to help them flourish. So when her daughter Nicole, hey Nicole, began school at Meadows Elementary in 1984, she decided to start volunteering to support the school and join the Meadows PTA. As her son Matthew, wave Matthew, there you go, entered school, she increased her service and became the PTA, a member of the PTA board. As her children grew and moved on to Taylor Middle School and Mills High School, she took on more responsibilities and was invited to serve on the district PTA as the PTA President Council and Mills PTO. In those roles, she worked with teachers, other parents, and the principal of Mills to help plan new school curriculum and policies. This led to her work on the strategic planning committees for the Millbrae School District and the San Mateo Union High School District, where she helped craft the vision and mission of our schools. As her experience and understanding of educational programs grew, she started to see gaps and needs in the schools. She saw that most of Mills High School's parents' support was going to music. She saw that most of the support for Mills High School students and parents went to music and sports programs. She saw that many kids didn't fit into one of these two groups, but still needed strong support from parents. So, she joined with other parents and founded the Mills Drama Guild, a parent support group for students involved in theater. She was the Guild's inaugural president and organized parent volunteers to acquire costumes and stage props, assisted with rehearsals and performances, solicited paid ads for the play programs, and worked the concessions booth, all during the shows. She did this because the kids in the performing arts program needed true support that would help them to the next level. While at the peak of her work with the PTO and Drama Guild, Deidre saw a great opportunity in working with other organizations outside the school. So in 1999, 1 year after founding the Mills Drama Guild, she joined the Mills Rotary Club. There you go. Now you lost it. You had your opportunity. Typical. Deidre took on more responsibilities in various roles and was asked to join the board as the youth director. And this led to her service as the foundation chair, secretary, and president 2001, 2004, and 2017. She also served as the district level as the assistant governor in 2008 and 2009, and as the chief of staff in 2010. As we remembered, in 2007 through 2012, those were hard years for our community and our country. In the midst of the worst recession since the Great Depression, the Millbrae Elementary School District was going through a financial crisis of their own. Seeing a need, Deidre joined with 6 other parents and established the Millbrae Education Foundation. Even though her children had already graduated out of the district 10 years earlier, Deidre had a keen knowledge of the district, its programs, and its needs. So these amazing 7 people worked diligently to raise supplemental funding so that the district could fund classroom aids and instructional music programs. The Millbrae Educational Foundation continues to be this city's great success story, and since its founding has generated more than $1 million for our schools and our youth. It is truly the envy of other school districts, believe me. In addition to all this, Deidre has been an active member of St. Dunstan's Catholic Church, a strong advocate and advisor to the Taylor Middle School Interact Club, and a board member of the Millbrae Community Foundation. Her willingness to share her time and talents for the benefit of the community and its youth is more than inspiring. It has shaped the lives of countless children who grew into exceptional men and women. Deidre Gladwin, it is my honor to recognize you as the Millbrae 2018 Woman of the Year, and now we have our video, so hang on.
I was born and raised in San Francisco. My husband and I were married in late 1972, and we decided that we wanted to have a change and to move out of the city. He's also a San Francisco native, and but it had to be close enough so that he could go into work at all hours. He was on call. We didn't know anything about Millbrae. We didn't know it existed. We found it on a Sunday drive in the neighborhood at an open house. It's just a great place to bring up your kids. It certainly was for us. I had been working up until the time we had our daughter in 1979, and when she started school, I thought I'd gone to private school. She was going to public school, didn't know all that much about it, thought I'd like to find out how things worked there, and so I walked in with her and my son on my hip and started volunteering then in 1984. I was very fortunate. And I was very fortunate through all the years to be asked to join the various boards and school site committees and different projects and things like that. And I really enjoyed it. And my daughter was a drama kid, and so was my son in future years. So I formed the Mills Drama Guild in 1998, and my daughter still teases me to this day because I didn't do it while she was there. And she is actually a professional stage manager. So I was really pleased to be able to do that, and the parents really enjoyed getting costumes. We'd go to ACT or we'd go to San Mateo Performing Arts. We also did the program and just a variety of things, and we had snacks during the breaks and stuff, and we supported the kids and fed them a couple of nights during rehearsals, and it was great. And I love live theater, and I love music and all of that, so it fit perfectly for the things that I like to do and to watch these young people just grow and blossom and just really kind of amaze you with what they could do at that age. In 1999, I was invited by a former principal from Mills, Frank Saboti, to a Rotary meeting. And he invited me to 3, and then he said to me, "So, are you going to join or what?" And I said, "Is that what this is about?" I had no clue whatsoever. And I said, "But I don't own a business, I'm not a manager." And he goes, "But you're a community person and you get things done and you support people and you support children. And so I think you would be great." So I've now been with the Rotary for 18 years. We have something going every month practically. We really do. And yeah, we are busy. And the most recent is the rededication of our park, Rotary Park. We enlarged the space, double the size. We added 3 different pieces of apparatus, and we worked with the city and with the Millbrae Community Foundation, gave us a grant, and so we were able to get it done. And we've done a dictionary project now we're going on our 13th year. We honor the Day of the Teacher. We honor Student of the Year. We have our football luncheon. It's going to be our 23rd. And then the other thing I'm really proud of, well, for all of us, for our whole club, is our Lunar New Year dinner that we have. And I believe we're coming up on our 13th. And this was started by Rick and Carrie Chin. And what is truly remarkable, I think, is it is the first event that is truly citywide. It has representatives from every group you can possibly imagine. That's a great thing, too. In 2007, there was a meeting held in Taylor Library, and there were parents from the schools at that, and Carolyn Shea, and I can't remember what other board member might have been there, and they were talking about forming a education foundation, Millbrae Education Foundation. And I ended up being on that as a community member, and I'm very proud to have been a part of that first group. And you know, we had people say, do you really think Millbrae is going to support that? Well, I think the fact that they raised $500,000 this past year indicates, yes, Millbrae will support our students and our educators. So it's great. I would say anybody who's got an interest in volunteering, reach out to the people who are doing the kind of thing that you'd like to do and talk to them and find out how they got involved. The more people that get involved, the better. And I also do think that there comes a time when it's time for kind of new blood and new faces. The fact that I have been, people have reached out to me, whether it's parents, whether it's staff, whether it's administration or whatever, and included me in the discussion, and that has been particularly rewarding to have had that and to feel valued. Very special.
Ladies and gentlemen, our Woman of the Year, Deirdre Gladwin.
Thank you, Gina, for the very nice introduction. Good evening, everyone. I am truly touched to have been chosen this year's Women of the Year. I want to thank the selection committee for all their work in choosing this year's honorees, and for the other committee members who worked so hard to make this a very special evening for everybody attending. Over the years, I have seen so many incredible volunteers being honored at this annual dinner, and I'm privileged to have been chosen as this year's Woman of the Year, along with a very prestigious group. 45 years ago, shortly after we were married, my husband Walt and I started our search for a home. We were both born and raised in San Francisco and were ready for a change. We'd never heard of Millbrae. But on a Sunday afternoon, as we went driving around to see where there were open houses, we stopped and saw a house, and we had lost an opportunity to bid on a house in Foster City. By the time we decided that we both really liked it, it was gone. So we walked to the end of the street at the corner of Helen and Brookside, and we were gonna walk around the block, but that block looked really long. So we turned around, went back, put a bid, and we are very, very happy that we made that decision. This is a great town to raise children in, with outstanding schools, a wonderful library, city parks, and classes at the recreation department. I'd like to introduce some of the people that are here tonight. Some of you know them, some of you do not. My husband, Walt. Would you please stand? As I introduce you, please stand, okay? Thank you. My daughter, Nicole, who came from Portland. My son, Matthew. My sister, Victoria, who flew out from Boston. And my father's widow, but someone who we have loved for many years in our family, Martha Nell Beatty. I also want to introduce one of my very best friends. I have three. Two of them were not able to come, but one was. And this is Janet Schwab and her husband, Rabbi Marvin Schwab. And I met Janet when I applied to be a member of the Millbrae babysitting co-op. I don't even know if that exists anymore. But when I had Nicole, all of my friends were working. I didn't have any family. I didn't have anybody to leave the kids with. So I joined it, and we've become incredibly close and shared so many things over the years. It's wonderful to have her here. So I'm also delighted to have Rotarians from our district joining us this evening. Our current district governor, Jane Holbert, and her husband, Gene. Past district governor, Russ Ketron, and his wife, Kathy. Past district governor, Chris Gallagher. Past district governor, Jerry Fujimoto. And our current assistant governor, Mitoni Griffiths. I also want to thank Karen Batuki, Maura Baron Shai, Heish, and Calvin Shin from MEF for joining me on this special evening. Wayne Lee, Doreen Dennehy, Andy Lee, and Bernie Baskin were a part of the original group. So also joining in tonight's festivities are my hairdresser, Paul Crane, and his wife. So all these years, I've been going to Paul for 45 years. I moved to Millbrae in April, and I found him in July. So all the changes that you've seen, he's responsible for. And then, what's a girl to do? They've got to have a jeweler. Absolutely. So Lisa Charney is here with her husband, Dave. And I told her all the jewelry I'm wearing tonight is from Millbrae Jewelers, with the exception of my rotary watch. So I was going to introduce them all, but they have been introduced already. I really would like to thank the school board members and the CBO for coming, as well as the city council members. It really means a lot to have you here for this kind of an evening. And I am thrilled to have several members of our Rotary Club here to celebrate with me. Thank you to all of you for making the time to be here tonight. Can my fellow Rotarians in Millbrae please stand up? So as I look around the room, besides these individuals, I see people who I've had the pleasure to have worked with over the years in a myriad of ways, whether it was in PTA, PTO, the Millbrae Community Foundation, where I served from 2001 to 2007, St. Dunstan's Women's Club's president, or the members of my Rotary Club. I also worked with the administrators of Meadows, Taylor, and Mills High, and the superintendents at both levels. I have been very fortunate to have been welcomed in all the groups I have joined and made to feel that my opinion has value. So, as one of the founders of MEF, it has been very rewarding to me to see the growth that has occurred since we started in 2007. There were skeptics in the early days, but we persevered. And as I said in the tape, we managed to raise $500,000 this last year. And what that does is it saves programs and it pays for salaries. And the Millbrae Education Foundation is the only organization outside of the school district that can pay for salaries. So we definitely have made an impact. In December, I will be celebrating 19 years as a Millbrae Rotarian. So after my children left Mills, I found that I had time on my hands. And as you heard, Frank Saboti invited me to join the Millbrae Rotary Club. So I've had the opportunity to continue to work on community projects, helping to improve the quality of living for the children and the people of Millbrae. Just this past May, as many of you might know, we worked with the City of Millbrae and the Millbrae Community Foundation, enlarging the play area in Rotary Park and adding 3 pieces of equipment, something we had dreamed of for many, many years. I've also had the opportunity to do things in the international arm of Rotary. I've traveled twice to Mazatlan, delivering wheelchairs both in a stadium and at people's homes. Our club had a member from Lithuania whose family farm needed equipment to plant and harvest and then refrigerate asparagus. And the people of Lithuania had to be taught how to do that. So I don't remember the exact year, but Walt and I traveled with 3 other Rotarians from Millbrae to visit the farm and to visit the place and see where all the different things had gone on. And it was amazing. The last international trip I took was to South Africa, where we saw water projects, delivered wheelchairs and school uniforms to students. Once again, we traveled to people's homes if they couldn't get to the distribution center. These experiences have opened my eyes to the conditions in these countries and how far our contributions as Rotarians really do make a difference. I have served as president 3 times, as assistant governor for 2 years, and chief of staff. As a volunteer, individuals have an opportunity to make a difference in so many ways. It's a mindset that has enriched my life and expanded my view of our community and the world around us. If any of you have not volunteered in some capacity, although quite a few of you have, I urge you to find something you believe in and help to support others in making a difference. One person really can make a difference, and you will find it very rewarding, more than you could ever imagine. So, my closing comments. So there are times in your life when things come full circle. Tonight is one of those times. In 1997, there was an attempt to recall 3 members of the Millbrae School Board. I was invited to a meeting where concerned parents met to figure out a way to prevent having the recall succeed. I was one of 3. One other was one of my best friends, Linda Ruggiero. We've been best friends since then, who was unable to attend this evening. And the 3rd person was Steve Lusage, this year's Man of the Year. I am very proud to have been chosen in the same year as Steve, and pleased that we are both still active in our community. Steve as a member of Lions, and myself as a Rotarian. I congratulate Steve and Stephanie for being selected as this year's Man and Student of the Year, and thank all of you for joining us this evening.
Deirdre, thank you for bringing that around. Appreciate it. Now for our Man of the Year, Stephen Lizage. Most of us know as Steve. It would be a complete understatement to say that Steve has been an active member of the Millbrae community. Since coming to the city in 1973 as a young law clerk, Steve has devoted countless hours to uplifting our community and our youth. For 36 years, Steve has been an active member of the Millbrae Lions Club. Lions? Come on, people, work with me, people. His work with the Lions Club has amounted to a separate career in and of itself. Whether it was making and serving pancakes for the annual pancake breakfast, volunteering to sell Christmas trees, those were the good old days, or working at dozens of crab feeds, Steve never said no to helping raise money for the Lions Club causes. In fact, I don't think he has ever turned down the opportunity to give a helping hand for any of the Lions Club events. But his work goes far, far beyond that. If you ask many people, Steve is best known for his work with the City of Millbrae's Youth and Government program. As a Lion Club representative, the program under Steve's guidance, Steve has been responsible for organizing and managing the youth as they took the time to better understand how government and city works. I don't know if many people understand how much work and patience that task takes. To ensure the program was successful, he would organize meetings, events, and site visits. He worked and oversaw the selection process of youth who applied to the program. He would plan out discussion topics and questions, the youth when they were on site working with government staff. That was only a brief overview of some of the things he did with the youth and government program. And it is an amazing program that the youth come in and they get to participate in all the aspects, being the mayor, the vice mayor, the police chief, everything. It's very enlightening to our youth. Most importantly, he was a mentor to dozens of these youth over the years. He kept them engaged in the topics and in the program, helping them to truly understand and appreciate how government works. It does work sometimes, people. So while showing them how public service comes in many different forms and nurturing the honor in that. Steve's work goes far beyond the Lions Club and far beyond the Youth and Government program. For 15 years, he served on the Millbrae Planning Commission, helping to guide the growth of the city of Millbrae through 1977 to 1992. For 9 years, Steve served as a board member for the San Mateo County Shelter Network, an organization that dedicates itself to providing housing for homeless and families in distress. When Millbrae police officer Dave Jacuti was killed in the line of duty, Steve volunteered his time to manage the estate of the grieving wife without cost to her or her family. He even found a public accountant willing to do pro bono work. That's tough to find, trust me. So they could ensure Officer Jacuti's pension and retirement would give his wife the best possible benefits. After all that, he managed the probate process, closing the estate so that the family could start to recover after the tragic loss of Officer Jacuti. We are truly blessed to have Steve in our lives and in our community. This is a man of great character and a true public servant. Ladies and gentlemen, our Man of the Year, Stephen Luzevich.
The town where I grew up was right next door, San Bruno, California. Grew up down on 3rd Avenue, right underneath where the jets took off on the runway. But I've been really involved in Millbrae since I was a child. We were members of the Calvary Lutheran Church here on Linden Avenue in Millbrae. I played at the Millbrae Little Leagues and basically grew up between the San Bruno and Millbrae borders. What really prompted my volunteerism was my boss, George Corey, when I came to work for him. He was a lawyer in town. Everybody respected him, and his mantra was, get involved in the community, do something, give back to the community. I graduated from law school in 1975. He wrote letters of recommendation for me to get into law school. I came out and he gave me my first job. It's been my only job. I've been with George for 43 years in the very same office. I was engaged to be married in 1977, and my real good friend, John LaDuca, was a realtor here in town. He was in the Lions Club, and he said, you have to get a house. And Pat and I weren't thinking of buying a house. We were just going to rent somewhere. He said, no, you have to get a house. It'll be the best decision you ever make. So he found me a house, and he worked his magic, and we could afford it. And he was right. It was the best decision we ever made. A little two-bedroom, one-bath fixer-upper over on Cappuccino Drive, and we turned it into a great home and lived here for 14 years. We moved about 20 years ago to Redwood City, but I've always maintained my office here and very deep roots in Millbrae. I'm kind of lucky to be a lawyer here because people come to you with their problems, they confide in you, and they ask you what you think. So you're a little bit of a counselor too, more than a lawyer, a counselor. And to be able to help so many people. My younger son is a lawyer, practicing lawyer up in Chico, and my older boy is working in a business in Redwood City. We have a grandchild, and so we're very fortunate to be close to our kids. I think that's where we all end up anyway, don't we? I began to be involved in various groups. One of the early groups was a San Mateo County group called Capture Crime Prevention, which was a community-based crime prevention organization. And I was on the board of directors with that organization, very community-based. Art Rise, which was an art promotion organization out of San Bruno, asked me to join their board, and I did that for a brief period of time. Of course, the Lions Clubs. And when I came to Millbrae, I joined the club going on 40 years ago. And everybody knows what the Lions Club does for Millbrae. And I've been a proud member of that organization for almost 40 years. And then more recently, I was on the board of directors for Shelter Network, which has now become Life Moves, but it is the largest organization serving homeless families in San Mateo County and Santa Clara counties. It helps families not only in Millbrae, but up and down the county. The award means everything to me. When you do a lot within your town and they come back and they say, we appreciate what you did, that's very rewarding, very important. I was in Home Depot one day buying some nails, and the clerk stopped me, and I had my Shelter Network t-shirt. He goes, thanks a lot. They put him to work and got him a house. What attracted me to these various organizations were exactly what George had told me. You're giving back to the community, whether it's crime prevention or promoting art in the community or helping homeless families. You get a real good sense of good coming out of that. And that's the most rewarding thing of all.
Our Man of the Year, Steve Lizage.
Thank you, Gina. Very nice remarks. Thank you for all showing up tonight, Friday night. I'd like to thank the Civic Coordinating Council and, of course, the Millbrae Chamber of Commerce for this great honor. Kathy Quigg said I had to give a speech tonight. And looking around the room, the speech practically wrote itself. I've been part of the Millbrae community for going on 63 years. As the video said, we started going over to Calvary Lutheran Church here in Millbrae. I played baseball in the Lions Little League. Went to Cappuccino High School. And I think I can confess now that even though my family moved to Crestmore, I lied about my address so I could attend Cap. Frank, they won't take my diploma away, will they? Oh, okay. I got married and we moved to Millbrae in 1977, and our kids attended Millbrae schools. And in 1975, George Corey moved his law office here to Millbrae, and I went to work for him, and I've been at the same office ever since. So you can see that the city of Millbrae has been the center of my personal life and professional life. It's one of those delightful places where you can take a walk downtown and run into 4 or 5 people that you know. And we're running out of these places in the Bay Area. What this is all really about are your friends and the relationships that you form in a community. And looking around the room, I'm reminded of all of those relationships. I see many of my friends from the Lions Club, which I joined in 1977. We are blessed to have this organization and other service organizations like the Rotary here in Millbrae. They really make an important difference in our community. I've seen the club evolve over the years. What started as a men's club has evolved into a culturally diverse men and women's club, and they should be proud of that. What has not changed is the mission of these clubs and their service to the community. Whatever Millbrae has needed, the Lions Club has stepped up, and the list, of course, is endless. The pancake breakfasts, fingerprinting kids at school, replacing band instruments, building parks. Everybody knows what they do. They have supported me in my efforts to foster the youth and government activities here in town. And when I rode in a fundraiser for the American Diabetes Association, for many years they stepped up and pledged substantially. So I want to thank all of my old friends in the Lions Club, John LaDuca, Paul Larson, Calvin Chin, and many others, and of course all of my new friends in the club. But I think most of all the community should thank these organizations for all that they bring to Millbrae. My son went to Millbrae schools, and I see many of my friends from those school days here. As Deirdre mentioned, we got to know each other very, very well in the early days with the Millbrae recall, along with my friend Kathleen Kimura and my very good friend Carolyn Shea, who's passed away. Being a teacher or an administrator is more challenging than ever. And I want to thank you all for doing such a great job in the schools. Frank Barbaro and all of our board. Thank you. I see many of my friends from the Millbrae City Council and staff from the city. I am very lucky to have known, and in some cases even represented, almost every city council member since 1980. At City Hall, you go there and you walk down the hall, and there are pictures on the wall of all the council people. It's a little bit scary to walk down the hall and see how far you go back. I go back to the days of Art Lepore, Mary Griffin, Till Bertini, when they served on the council. Just like the schools, running a city is more and more challenging. There have been significant budget cuts, cutbacks in staffing, and staff in our cities have sacrificed pay and benefits just to keep serving the city. My work with the Lions and the Youth and Government program has allowed me to work with the city and city staff. We take these high school kids and we pair them up with a council person or a staff member, and they learn how the city works from the top down. And they do this for a week. And these kids come away with an appreciation for how our cities work. And hopefully we plant in them a desire to come back and serve the community when they're older adults. And it's not one-sided either. I see joy on the faces of our council members and joy in our staff members in working with these kids and teaching them about city government. This is my chance to thank every council person, department head, staff member, and other person who's helped us run this program for 23 years, and to thank you for keeping the city in great, great shape. Speaking of the city, we do have one of the best softball programs on the peninsula. I played here since 1970, and we all only stopped playing when there was not enough Motrin to keep us going anymore. Professionally, I've been here for 43 years in my office. I got out of law school, went to George and asked for a job, and it's the only job I've had since. I am blessed to represent many people in our community, and it's a privilege to work with them. You know, being an estate planning lawyer just is not about who you want to give your stuff to. People tell you about their lives, their families, their kids, problems with their kids. They worry about their parents and how they're going to take care of them. They get into fights with their siblings. You hear all of that, and they ask you for your advice and your counsel. And this is what is special. And sometimes they follow your advice, and sometimes they don't. But it's an honor to be drawn in so closely with members of your community and to know that you make a difference in their lives. In order to do this, you have to work with excellent people. My partners are here tonight: George Corey, Dario Di Cataldi, Ed Daniels, and our staff is here as well. And I thought, this is a Friday night, who's going to want to come to a dinner? But over 30 of them showed up. Could you stand up, please? Show them who you are. There's one very special member of this group who deserves recognition, and that's George Corey. All of you know George. He's a former Man of the Year, and I'm glad he could be here tonight. And I think, George, you had something to do with all of this. George is the founding member of our firm 54 years ago. He is the mayor of Broadway Avenue. Okay? He has his own bench by city edict, and he's known as the guy in town who can get anything done and is willing to help anybody. And the community has always known that if they need something, they can call on George. Our firm's an institution in town, not just for what we do, but for the way we do it. George has been the steady moral and ethical leader of our firm, and his mandate has always been give back to the community. I've known George since grade school. He was my Sunday school teacher at Calvary Lutheran. So if you ask if there's anybody in my professional life who I could call Dad, George would be the guy. So thank you. My family is here tonight. My wife, Pat, my son, Ryan, Melissa. I've been blessed to be able to do so many things for my profession and my community. But we sometimes forget that this takes time away from your family. Sometimes you have to work long hours at the office, leave early or come home late. You go to Lions events, board meetings, youth and government events, and other community functions. But you try to keep to your pledge that you'll be home for dinner and help the kids with their homework. But sometimes you miss even that. Pat has always supported me, and most of the time she has not complained about it. But I think she deserves the biggest hand tonight. So in conclusion, it's the relationships that matter. They tie a community like Millbrae together. And the relationships that I've formed here are priceless. As I said, Millbrae's been a center of my personal and professional life, which is why it's such a great honor to have you thanking me tonight. Thank you.
All right, so it's part of the customs here to make sure that all the honorees walk away with lots of bling. So I would like to ask Deirdre and Stephanie to come up and now to receive commendations from various elected officials and bodies. And let's have one more huge round of applause for our outstanding volunteers, Stephanie Wong, Deirdre Gladwin, and Stephen Lisevich.
Okay, 5 more minutes, I promise. Dennis Fama, president of the school board. Also with us, can I have the entire city council? We're going to run through this really fast. Our representative from Supervisor Pine's office, Randy Tort. Where are you? There you go. Representative from Jerry Hill and also appearing for Kevin Mullen, Mark Hirschman. Everybody, we got lots of bling to give out in the next 5 minutes. There you go. Okay. Dennis Fama, president of the board of school board. Where am I? Ms. Schneider. There we go. Annie, you got the... And Ruben, where are you? Okay, there. Okay, go grab the stuff from Millbrae City Council also has. Yeah, this is going to be the fastest one on record here for all these. On behalf of the Millbrae City Council, we have, go ahead, please, hand them out. Next up from Supervisor Pine's office, Randy, you got yours? Oh yeah, now don't be comparing who gives the nicest ones, okay? Followed by our former Mayor Mark Hirschman, representing tonight Jerry Hill, our senator, and Assemblyman Kevin Mullen. Yeah, I hope you guys have wall space for all these. You got it? You want one more? Yeah, of course he wants one more. There you go. Family members, they're going to need some help up here. There we go. We got more? What else you got? Federal. Oh, federal. I guess our Congresswoman Jackie Spear. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Excuse me. Backing up here. U.S. Senator Kamala Harris. There you go. Okay, there you go. What else you got? For the car and the money. Yeah, hand all those out? Yeah, okay. Somebody help me out here. Go ahead. Ruben, you're on. For Kamala Harris. And oh, yes, and our Congresswoman, Jackie Spear. Okay, keep going. Keep going. Get a picture of all this juggling here. What else you got, Joe? Anything? One more. Oh, and the actual from the committee. And the student of the year. So a big round of applause, everyone. We'll take that. There you go. Thank you, everyone, for coming, and we are so proud of our honorees. We'll be available for photo ops later.
So they're all going to have to add on to their houses so they can have more wall space to put all their new plaques. All right. Why don't you all have a seat, and I'll just make some closing comments, and we'll wrap things up here shortly. Okay. Hey, who's here from the? Let's hear a cheer for anybody from the Peninsula Chinese Business Association. How about Millbrae Education Foundation? Do we have any Dodger fans in the room? I'm happy to report that the Dodgers lost 7-2 to the Milwaukee Brewers. If you'll just bear with me, I do need to make some closing comments and thank yous before we leave here tonight. Anyway, I hope we all honor our theme tonight. Did everyone have fun? Yeah? Yeah, okay, there we go. These people have all really hopefully inspired us to renew our volunteer opportunities in the community. They're truly inspirational folks. So a few thank yous as I wrap up. A special thank you to Nancy Montez for the floral decorations that graced each table. Thank you to Robert Gottschalk, who sponsored us here and enabled us to have our function here at the Country Club. Let's have a big thank you for Nick Jones and John Rupert Salas in the back from MCTV. If any of you would like to relive this wonderful evening, you can go home in a few days and watch it on MCTV or online at mctv.tv. Thank you to the Green Hills Country Club for their excellent food and service tonight. And again, it's all about our honorees. So one more huge round of applause for Stephanie, Deirdre, and Stephen. Please take care, drive safely, and remember in a few weeks to vote. Everyone needs to vote. Thank you and good night.